New signs that voters may have some nostalgia for President Trump when it comes to his handling of the economy as president. So this new CBS News YouGov poll finds that 65% of voters say the economy was good under his leadership, creating a new challenge for the White House's Bidenomics messaging. Let's bring in two of my favorite people this morning, former senior aide to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast, Chris Hahn, and then former acting White House Chief of Staff for President Trump, Mick Mulvaney. Both are NewsNation political analysts. Happy Super Tuesday to both of you this morning. Chris, let me start with you on this one. That poll also finding that 44% of voters believe President Trump's policies would cause prices to go down, compared to 17% who believe the same about President Biden's policies. How concerning is that for Democrats?
I think it's time to start reminding people that Donald Trump was president till January of 2021. And 2020 was one of the worst economic years in the history of the United States of America. Yes, prices were down in 2020 because nobody was driving their car and you could get gas for $1 a gallon. Nobody was leaving their home. Nobody was working. The man failed to protect us during COVID, and he's going to be reminded of that for the next year. The economy was a mess when Joe Biden took over this country. He avoided a recession that Donald Trump had laid the groundwork for. So, yeah, I get it. People have nostalgia, but they forget about 2020. But let me tell you, Donald Trump wants everybody to forget 2020 unless he's counting it towards his immigration numbers. Nobody was coming to the United States in 2020 because of Article 42, which was a COVID-based restriction. No, we're going to remind everybody of all 4 years of the Trump presidency. They were an unmitigated disaster.
Mick, you got a rebuttal to that, sir?
You know, how do you not? Good morning, Markie. It's always good to see you and my aggressively progressive friend, Chris. Look, there's some data, and you can take the top line numbers of these polls and throw them away. Chris and I both know that. We don't elect people nationally. We do it state by state. Some of the numbers in this poll are just disturbing for the Biden team. You mentioned one of them about people think that Biden policies will make prices go up. That's really bad for President Biden. There's more data in there that suggests that people think his immigration policies are likely to allow more people into the country, not less. I think Trump is beating him by almost 50 points on that particular topic. You go deeper, you see that Donald Trump is polling about 23% with African-American voters. Put that in perspective. He got 6% in 2016, about 12% in 2020, and he's polling at 23% now with African-American voters, polling at 46% with Hispanic voters. If that holds, I think even Chris would admit it's really hard for Biden to win. I get the messaging. I understand that the Democrats have been saying that all along. They need to make the election about Donald Trump and not Joe Biden, and I get that. This is one of the reasons they need to do that, because Biden is really suffering right now in these polling data.
Going from the economy, let's pivot to immigration here, Chris. That new Gallup poll that I've been talking about all morning, it also finds immigration is now voters' top issue for the first time since 2019. And it's fascinating because as we've been talking about the economy here, I mean, economy comes in third after overall government concerns. Will the migrant crisis become the key issue in this campaign, or does it eventually, come November, all boil back down to James Carville's famous adage, you know, it is the economy, stupid?
It's always the economy, right? At the end of the day, immigration always bubbles up as an issue in every election, and it is never a decisive issue in a national election. Sure, it riles up the bases on both sides, frankly. But it is never what makes the swing voters vote. The swing voters vote about things they can touch, see, feel, taste. Most of them cannot understand or are not having any direct impact by the immigration crisis at the border. They don't see it in their daily lives. They won't vote on it. I think Mick will agree with me on that.
Yeah, Mick, the Gallup poll found that 55% of voters believe immigration is a critical threat. Does that translate to more support for Republicans on the ballot when Democrats are now blaming GOP inaction for the chaos?
I think 99 times out of 100, if not more, Chris is right that ordinarily it is the economy, stupid, and Carville was correct a couple decades ago. This might be the exception, Markie, and here's why. Ordinarily, this is an issue that is just used to rile up the base, as Chris says. It gets our Republican base out. It gets his Democrat base out. This year might be different because people are starting to see it for the first time. They're starting to see it in their blue cities. They're starting to hear their Democrat governors and Democrat mayors complain about Democrat policies in Washington, D.C. They're seeing the young woman who got killed by an illegal immigrant down in Georgia. They're seeing this. It's becoming a crime and safety issue in addition to an economic issue. This might be the one time it's different, and the border might stay as that top issue. And if it does, even if it doesn't, Biden is losing in this polling information or polling data on closing the border. He's losing on making the economy better. You have to get fairly deep down into the list of important topics before you see anything that people think he's doing well.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.